Hey everyone, so for most people, hair loss doesn't really hit all at once. It's gradual, a little more scalp in the mirror, a few more comments you didn't expect. At some point, you realize there's probably more dead hair follicles than live ones. That's usually when people start looking for a fix, but what's tricky is the options out there either feel too generic or too overhyped. You'll see the same two ingredients everywhere, but no one really tells you what they're actually doing or whether they'll work for you. So I wanted to try two very different routes, one that's designed to be simple and affordable, and one that looks at your DNA to create something more personalized. And in this video, I'll walk you through what those two experiences were like, what worked, and who I think each one is best for. So when I first started looking at treatment options, I figured I'd begin with something simple, just to see how my hair would respond. That's where Hims came in, because it's a more streamlined option. You answer a few questions online, a medical provider reviews your info, and assuming everything looks fine, they'll get you started on a treatment without ever stepping into a clinic. What they prescribe is usually a combination of finasteride and minoxidil. Finasteride is the pill. It lowers DHT, which is the hormone that tends to shrink hair follicles in guys with genetic hair loss. Minoxidil is the topical stuff. It helps increase blood flow so the follicles can actually keep growing. And just to be clear, I am not a doctor, okay? This is not medical advice at all. Definitely talk to a provider before starting anything like this. But from using it myself, the whole Hims experience really was built around convenience. They give you options like a 2-in-1 spray, a chewable tablet, or separate products if you want more control. But either way, it's all based on those two ingredients. That is the core of it. And for a lot of people, that's enough. But if your hair loss isn't mainly from DHT or poor circulation, like if it's tied to stress or something inflammatory, this probably won't do much. Now, pricing wise, it's all subscription based. You're looking at $32 a month if you pay annually, or $39 month to month. And you can check in with your provider as much as you want so you can play with the different options. So yeah, if you're dealing with typical male pattern hair loss and you just want something easy to start with, Hims covers the fundamentals really well. And hey, if you're thinking about checking out either of these, there's a couple of links down in the description and in the comments section. And we usually have deals there that you won't see on their official sites, so feel free to take a look. Now, after trying Hims, I wanted to see what the other end of the spectrum looked like, something more personalized. That's where Roots came in. And this one's built around the idea that not everyone responds the same way to standard treatments. So before they send you anything, they actually test your DNA. It's a cheek swab that you can do at home, and it looks at over 20 genes linked to how your body reacts to different hair loss ingredients. You also fill out a lifestyle questionnaire, and then a dermatologist uses all of that to put together a topical treatment just for you. Mine came with 7 active ingredients, including a few I had never even heard of and definitely cannot pronounce, alongside the usual stuff like minoxidil. No pills here, it's all topical. And it's designed to hit more than just hormones and circulation. They'll adjust the formula based on things like inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, even autoimmune factors, if that's relevant. So it's a very, very different model. You're not just picking from a menu, you're getting something built around how your biology works. And from using it for a few months, yeah, my hair grew back a ton, but also my scalp feels healthier. It's less irritated. Overall, my hair just looked fuller and stronger. Now, it definitely is more expensive. The initial kit, which includes the DNA test and your first month of treatment, runs between $163 and $250, depending on your formula. After that, monthly refills are between $64 and almost $100, so you're definitely paying for the customization and clinical oversight. But if you've tried other stuff that didn't really work, or you just don't want to spend half a year waiting, this takes a lot of that trial and error out of the process. But at this point, it really comes down to what kind of experience do you want, and how much clarity you need up front. Hims is really easy to try. You don't need to overthink it. It's a lot cheaper. You can be on the treatment within a couple of days. If you're dealing with pretty standard male pattern baldness and just want to get started with something proven, it is a solid baseline. You're not customizing anything, but for a lot of people, that's fine, especially if you're early on in the process and want to see how your hair responds. Roots is more of a commitment, but it removes a lot of the guessing. You're not hoping the treatment works. You're starting with one that's built for how your body processes different ingredients. Now, of course, that doesn't guarantee results, but it does give you a better shot at making progress sooner, especially if you've already tried the basics and didn't get much out of them. So where Hims is about getting the most common solution into more people's hands, Roots is about narrowing in on the right one before you even start. And the difference really shows up in how confident you feel sticking with it. With Hims, there's always that little voice in the back of your head wondering if it's the right fit. With Roots, that part has already been answered. If you want something affordable and easy to stay consistent with, Hims does the trick. If you're more focused on long-term results and want to skip the trial and error phase, Roots is the better bet. So hopefully this all gave you a clear picture of what each option actually looks like in practice, and maybe helped you figure out which one makes more sense for where you're at. If you're still deciding, there are links for both in the description and comments, and we usually have offers there that aren't available anywhere on the company's main sites, so feel free to check that out if you're leaning one way or the other. Also, if you're interested in working with us or sponsoring a future video, just reach out using the email in the description below. If you found this helpful, I'd always appreciate a thumbs up. If you got any questions about either one, feel free to drop those in the comments. I try to answer as many as I can. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.